Okay, so we have 3 options here. I would, say it's probably best just to go from top to bottom as it goes. I'm wondering how it's gonna branch out. I can't imagine it's gonna go too much farther into the next day. But I would say I think am the most curious about Haru Shigima? Let me try that one more time. Haru Shigima. Also, mainly because she's hanging out with Richter, I'm curious what their connection is. If anything, I'm not as interested in the police case. Yako, we barely knew anything about, so that also is a curious thing. I guess technically we barely know anything about anyone, it's just the police thing is kind of less interesting to me. But we'll just start with this one. Not dreams. When the son of Haru Shigima was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. Didn't get that much information from the prologue. 1 year later, Haru has hired a private investigator to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective at her home, something strange suddenly appears. Botched investigation by the police, which I would assume involves these guys, possibly Tetsuo. I'm assuming there's a lot of connections. Also, I would be really into the idea of Shogo and Yoko not showing up at all, because they're like really... Shogo especially is like face front on the like main art for the game. So if he's just gone forever and unrelated, but I guess we'll still run into him with these characters, obviously. Anyways, we're still gonna start with this. May those who mock fires perish in flame. I guess we'll see who actually has this power. I thought Richter might have, but I guess he might have been working with Haru to get it to work. She didn't know what his power was, or what that power was, because she freaked out about the lighter. The flame bearers. Killed them all! You have acquired the power of the cursed stone, the haunting clappers. I was right about it being the clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire or a fire-starting device on their person. Like, what does... Use it to kill those with fire, or... I guess those that are holding fire. Or a fire-starting device is good enough, is what it's saying. Not just, you can kill someone with fire. Like, yeah, I know. Press and use the curse button to set your target. I'm still inclined to not want to press the button at any point. Because it doesn't seem like the best option. Alright, haunting clappers. Cursed power. We'll learn what the real story is. Red, red, red. Everything is dyed crimson. My home is burning to the ground. It's hot. So, so hot. I must call for help, but I cannot speak. My throat must be burned up from the smoke. No, I think I'm already on fire. That's right. I'll just use the clappers. Clack, clack. Is anyone there? Clack, clack. Why is no one coming? I'm going to burn to death. How did it come to this? Oh, right. Her. It must be the work of that vixen who appeared suddenly and enchanted my lord. That witch. Those hauntingly cold eyes had my lord dancing in the palm of her hand. Perhaps I was also taken in by her. How many innocent people did I lure in under orders? This must be karma. The sound of a heavy bell. Feels like my head, it is like my head. It should be a my. Feels like my head will split open. Alright, the evening bell. That must be why nobody can hear the sound of my clappers. I've got to do it louder. Clack, clack. So what was... the general story of this was someone clapping their clapper and announcing his presence by shouting warnings about fires. He also caught on fire, which presumably, based on this story, might have been a, act of murder. Alright. For those who mock fires, something perish in flame. Fire's flame? Maybe. A bit of an oxymoron. Now! Kill. Can you hear it, Curse Bearer? You who so strongly desires the right, kill them. Like how he went from water to burning. Shigima Mansion Reception Room. Back with me, ma'am? So handsome. Sorry, can't say I understand what just happened. But it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams. Housewife. I really, love how, what would be the way to say it? Cold and, maybe not cold, far away her gaze is. Like, it really is just someone that's so, like, lost everything. That's if that turns out to not be her details. We didn't get any information on her before, so this is all new. We actually had not gotten a persons of interest thing on her just because we didn't actually get her name. Housewife who resides in a manor near Shimoku Bridge. This isn't the same mansion of feet, right? Her 11-year-old son, Shuichi, was kidnapped and murdered about a year ago. The death was the result of a mistake on the part of the detective assigned to the case. Mistake which enraged the kidnapper and had him cut off all contact with the police, leaving no room for negotiation. I know it's still a tragic and sad story, but when it said cut off, I immediately thought they were going to say limbs. So, you know, a little bit of a sigh of relief on that one. The incident was covered up, and Shuichi's killer remains at large, leading the aggrieved Haru to... Aggrieved was the perfect word for what she, like, her gaze tells. To call on the services of private investigator Richter Kai to uncover the truth. The Shigima family came from a line of samurai who built their residence in Honjo during the Edo period. They assumed important position in the police force following the Meiji Revolution. They assumed important positions. Were they still involved? Like, was it because of personal stakes in this that caused the police to screw this up? Excuse me. Following the Meiji Revolution, thereby protecting their family's elevated status. Even today, many in the Shigima line work as police bureaucrats and senior police officers. It sounds like it was someone that had like a personal stake in it that maybe went off. Potentially, Tetsuo, I guess. I would assume. Haru's father sits in the upper echelon of the National Police Agency, and her husband, adopted in the Shigima clan through an arranged marriage, is also a highly respected agency official. However, as her family prioritizes work above all else, it wasn't long before Haru's marriage grew cold. Though she wants for nothing, she is isolated from her neighbors and withdrawn from society. Seeing her son grow into a young man, it gave Haru a purpose in life, but it was cut short by the kidnapping incident. Following the incident, Haru spent many days in a deep depression, breaking into sudden fits of shouting and wandering around in the middle of the night. Her cheerful, loving disposition faded away, and she took to making snide remarks at her husband, which only further soured the relationship. A few months ago, Haru's husband was transferred to another area for work and now rarely returns home, with Haru left to live in the large empty mansion alone, as a housekeeper who has been with the family for a long time comes in to take care of all the housework. Haru has nothing but time on her hands. Yoko's a housekeeper, so keep that in mind. Also, Curse Echo question mark? I guess that's questioning whether or not any of these characters have one. Especially since, at this point, we don't know that Shogo has one. Like, this, I guess, would be from the perspective of Haru. Are the files different? No, it's all the same files. So, yeah, we're fine to keep reading these because there's already a decent chunk that was kind of... Maybe not a decent chunk, but we'll read those because they're important. No. Not dreams. That's the name of the chapter. Sounds like something I might want to hear about. Look at him. A private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Oda City, I saw how he dressed. I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. New information on him, too. I guess what he did overall was just confirm that Shogo had a lighter on him that can be used to trigger Haru's stand. The eccentric man that Shogo... Okay, so this is the same, but then I'm guessing the dots here indicate the difference. Once police officer Richter was racked with guilt over the police's inability to help all those in need, and quit the force to start his own private investigation firm. However, his soft-hearted nature leads him to take on too many cases and has put his office in dire financial straits. How he is still in business is a mystery, with some whispering that a wealthy patron is keeping him afloat. Richter studied alongside Detective Juniro at the police academy. Somewhat surprisingly, given his outlandish clothing and mannerisms, Richter excels at covert investigations and tailing his targets. He proudly refers to himself as an investigator extraordinaire, though that only ever succeeded at impressing himself. I'd also assume at the point where Shogo talked to Richter, Richter started tailing him, so that would make sense as well. Richter's biggest source of happiness is nuzzling his pet female albino parakeet, Ernestine. Wow, what a colorful character. Which he keeps in his office. I thought I was going to say keeps in his pocket. He also enjoys collecting mockingbird stickers, a popular line of merchandise featuring birds inexplicably dressed like delinquents, and can be frequently sighted searching around town for them. While out and about, Richter typically leaves the office, and more importantly, Ernestine, in the care of Emimori, a junior high schooler who volunteers to assist Richter after being involved in a previous case. We don't, No, this, okay, incomplete chapter will restart. I already forgot what the high schooler's name is, but again, I'm expecting a lot of connections. I'm also wondering if, from the perspective of us, if Shogo is going to feel different as a character. Like unreliable narrator kind of thing. File update. Azure Heron Agency. Richter Kai's private investigation firm in Kamada, Oda City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simple name like Kai's detective agency, but upon hearing that people are more likely to pick names listed at the front of phone books alphabetically, he decided to pick a name starting with an A, but ending with starting with an A, but also the second letter is a Z. Thus, the Azure Heron Agency was established. Heron Agency. However, it is questionable whether the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than an azure heron, Richter keeps a white parrot as a pet and dressed not in blue, but mostly in white. Also, well, albino, I was going to say albino because of the B, but there's an L right there in the middle. Would have still been better than azure. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as a private eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigation firms and inquiry offices might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiry offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interests and gaining information surreptitiously. Is it surreptitiously gaining information? When you're, like, looking for it? You think at any point we're gonna get to play as him? Oh, it's a color TV! Let me think about that. My heart's still racing. This is it, my chance, at long last. I'm curious about the, involvement of getting the stone from other characters. A color television. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there is no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around it and marveled at it as a family. But with Father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse. Is that one of them stickers? I want to get a zoom in on that. I can't see it very well. It looks like it's like, one of those gaudy motorbikes. Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Richter said that. Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before... Well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. No, closer. I need a closer look. I would collect these stickers. They're pretty cool. I knew it. Honestly, they might sell these stickers. I don't know. The game is zooming in on it. Look at him. I knew it. It's Head Hincho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of the Mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. New? You said all the way back in season 1. I guess it... Not season 1. Number 1. Like set 1. I guess if they didn't become a craze until later, it makes sense. Like those cool Pokemon cards that keep getting poached. They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is, nobody knows who made them. No one knows who made them? They just started showing up around town, and soon enough, they'd won everyone's hearts. So it's like a local thing. The story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. Yo, is this one of the mysteries of Honjo? To think one could turn up here of all places. This is a good sign, I'm sure of it. Oh, well, that's nice. You do know my son was killed, right? Big zoom. Yeah! Discovered. Is it a collectible? Let's go. That's pretty cool. Yo! Oh! And they got little, like, details on how to collect them. I really want to collect them all. That's a lot of them, though. Revisiting the park at night. I wonder how difficult it really is. I wonder if revisiting the park at night means to actually go back into a chapter. I can't imagine these are going to be in order either, but I could probably, once like everything is done and unlocked, I can probably guess where to find them. Jackpot. On the way home, look up at the first house. Late at night on the way home sounds like it's for the high school student. Before hearing the history, that's like obviously before talking to someone about something. In the Bright Garden, you won the lottery. Bright Garden would probably be hanging out where the Evergreen thing was, but like during the day. Wait until you feel like yourself again. Detectives and private eyes. Telephone booth. The excited detective. Waiting at the entrance. In park where sparrows sing. Waiting at the intersection on a bridge pillar at night. Unique looking playground. Revisiting the park at night. It's a gameplay guide. Okay. Well, that's fun. 49 too. That's like the last thing. I wonder what the hint was. Like, would we have... I guess eventually you would find a sticker yourself. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't one to listen to music often. Flower arrangement. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. That might be important. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. I was gonna say, what the hell is that? A fax machine. I guess I'm showing her that I don't know what fax machines are. Fax machine, it can send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Neither do I. Most houses don't have one. Yeah, they don't really find a use for it. A rotary phone. The telephone. Mansion has a private line. Don't think there's gonna be anything. Ooh, clock! The swinging of the pendulum echoes through the room. Feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually, it's just me. Nothing on the table, it looks like. I think we are good to talk to our boy. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out. And the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Wait a minute, that lottery? That was one of the hints for the bird? Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Have you heard of cursed stones? Interesting. Very interesting. So the haunting clapper's curse echo appeared out of nowhere. Told you how to perform the Rite of Resurrection and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. So it appeared out of nowhere, which technically speaking, the Whispering Canal did too. Have I got that right? That's right. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. But I guess I have to now. Do you? Was that enough proof? I saw that cursed stone appear in your hand myself. Okay, I guess that is enough proof. It looked like it popped clean out of thin air. With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. I mean, I guess we keep talking. Guest table, wait a minute. The guest table. I don't know where Father got this old thing from, but I've never liked it. It looks okay. It's kind of almost looks like an office table, I guess. Like, I don't know if I would want that in my house, but I don't think you quite understand. Oh? This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before I even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day. You just knew, huh? It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse echo's resentful memories. So I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did, hundreds of years ago. Wreathed in flame, writhing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. What a wild thing to say. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying fire. I see. That could be a problem. You think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity. The stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me anyway. You're kind of extrapolating a lot from that. Like, I would assume you don't know any other curse bearers. Good grief, it is a JoJo! Talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment. Remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. I really can't imagine there's being much else to talk about. Unless if we really take into account the fact that she mentioned winning the lottery. Oh, I like that the thing is just an exclamation mark. Kind of hit a snag on my control there. Alright, about the investigation. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigema. Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, how could she forget? They never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead. So you said. As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I've managed to make some headway. I remember, you were just about to tell me. File update. Headway! Overview is definitely going to be important here. A kidnapping and murder case that took place in Honjo, Sumida, around 1 year ago. Haru Shigemu's son, Shuichi, age 11, was kidnapped on his way home from school, with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of as a simple extortion scheme, but when it came to light that the Shigema family was closely tied to the police, and Shuichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The grudge is definitely important. I think it's a great idea that we're playing this before we play the police one, honestly. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, losing the public's confidence. The culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Haru reached a breaking point. Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible, but her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed, and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. I wanted to double check because I wasn't positive, but the body was found. So it's not going to be like a missing person showed up out of nowhere. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but the case has long gone cold. Sorry. Gotta keep reading. Oh, we get to see what the child looks like. Just in case you were wondering, he will never have a curse echo. It's never a question. The only son of Haru Shigema, he was kidnapped and murdered 1 year ago. His body was discovered floating in Sumida River. The fact that there's like a break here makes me wonder if we would have gotten this information from one of the other chapters, and then we get the like longer one here for the mother knowing about her son. Shuichi was a conscientious, brave young boy who was determined to protect his mother, Haru, amid his father's frequent absences. He dreamed of becoming a police officer and displayed diligence and an impressive sense of responsibility from a young age, likely due to being raised in an extremely strict environment. Born in the early 70s, he spent his days immersed in various activities and studies, including playing piano, learning the abacus, taking English. How do you learn the abacus? I guess I wouldn't know because I don't know how to abacus. Taking English lessons and training in kendo. Shuichi's tendencies to put other people's needs over his own meant he died without ever telling his classmates how much he longed for them all to go out on a hunt for mockingbird stickers. Richter is him! He grew up so fast in 1 year. Let me think about this. My heart's still racing. This is my chance. Alright. About the investigation, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell me about the lead. Tell you what? Why don't I tell you what I found, and then we can make a decision. Alright. Yeah! Tell me! We still need to... Okay. I guess we have to, start this stuff. About the kidnapping. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Then I'll leave that for the files to cover and just confirm a few things about the case. The police traced the culprit's calls back to, let's see here, Northern Oyoko River. Yoko! Here in Sumida City. That's quite a wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from inside the house. But it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive. How can you be so confident? Since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Never mind, I'll just shut up and let them talk. Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house. It's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but... Exactly, Shuichi was a clever boy. Never would have gone into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood, too. I even saw him warning the other children. Sounds like he was a narc. Then again, he also looked up to the police force, so, like, obviously. It's possible that they forced him into the car. The only issue there is, there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seems a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? Huh. The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have just gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? The, like, other easy solution, which I think is more so cliche than anything, is he would get in the car with someone he knows. I say cliche, it's like, I mean, that kind of comes up a lot with movies I've seen. The kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into their car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody that he would have reason to trust. A teacher, perhaps, or a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But all the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. But if it was related to the police force, the police would have covered it up, and obviously we already got the media blackout on what happens. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew, or rather... what if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? That's fair enough, too. That also is pretty cliche. Dude, Richter is so cool. Huh? That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shigima family has close ties with the police after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. You might be right. I'm wondering though, for surely that couldn't have... you would think he would know a lot of the people from the police force, because of his family's involvement and his, like, interest in the police. But surely that couldn't have... Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. They're meant to be a visible deterrent against crime. Huh. Although I guess I don't really know how, much of the police force you would potentially know if you were like slightly involved, because like, you know, my knowledge of it is like television dramas where every character is a character, so that doesn't really help with anything about the kidnapping. But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Huh? Haru did it? Could you imagine? What a twist that would be. Even kids who've been warned about stranger danger often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If, say, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? Ah... I'm kind of still getting the impression that Yoko might be behind all of this. If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays. But if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Would it be outdated nowadays? I don't know what our time frame is. Well, actually we do. It's like, what, 81? Because Shuichi was born in the 70s? We're at least definitely in the 80s. Born in the early 70s, and he's 11, so that means we're in early 80s. I don't know if that was considered an outdated thing in the 80s. Like, obviously now you would say it's outdated. But I don't know the 80s, so I guess maybe I'm wrong. I guess the attitude comes from, like... I guess I kind of maybe see how it would be, like, outdated. Because you would say... like, a man's or husband's duty is always the woman and children as, like, more of a... I don't know, would you say, like, 60s kind of thing of that, like, black and white TV where it's, like, the husband's the breadwinner kind of thing. And in the 80s, you don't quite get that as much, but I felt like you still have the, like, a man's duty kind of attitude then. But again, I don't know the 80s, so I might be wrong. But if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have been an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. That, I feel like, would be a hard thing for me to believe. I can't imagine that scenario that he's bringing up. Not knowing that they were involved. My heart's still racing. Okay, we need to stop thinking about things and just keep talking. More about the kidnapping? So the question is, did anyone see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See, what I said about people's biases, that goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe, if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent my day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. I love this thing. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say that for sure yet. Turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. Several hours earlier. Alright, this should do. There's no one around, we can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was your name again? Jinochi. That is some wild hair. Got it. Well, Jinochi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Shuichi's Shigami's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course, what else do I look like? How should I know what a private detective looks like? Oh, forget it. I mean, I would assume, like, the trench coat. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. Uh-huh. Look, you'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who is trying to kill you? A student called Michio Shirashi. Interesting. A schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. Sounds like you've been naughty. I feel like that's how Richter would say. It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shirashi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shigema. Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him, I'm sure of it. Or at least, she's got something to do with it. Maybe it wasn't Yoko. I'm way too suspicious of Yoko. Until I'm right, then I'm perfectly correct in my suspicions. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me. If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anyone? Well, you see, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life? So you've been sitting on that... Oh, excuse me. You've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you've spilled the beans? Yes, that's it, exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get to me. Arrest her, I'm telling you, she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Curse you? Look at that face. I'm sorry, but you're losing me here. It's true, her house, it's... Oh, forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you'd never understand. Enough, I'll find someone else to help me. Hey. Huh. You didn't really try too hard to, like, follow him. And that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk. I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Then, if we can just find that girl... Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, then there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name's Koi Janucci. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. What a weird looking teacher. A teacher? Then the schoolgirl is one of his students? Is one of his students? I think that's very likely. Let's kind of get some Rite of Resurrection talk in there. The Rite of Resurrection, huh? I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently, some old books showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rite can be found somewhere in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about that. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope, real hope, for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I had just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that if I'd done something differently, Shuichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the rite. Huh? Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much she meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this rite is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. Killing a couple people, actually. Is that a problem? If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. So he probably was trying to stop Haru then? Oh, that's a shame. A shame, huh? That's all. I thought, if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position Would happily kill for a chance like this. Yeah, I don't think she's wrong there. That's so, is it? Dear oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? We'll keep talking about that. If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. Don't know if it really matters. I mean, I would feel like she would push the subject. I'll pay you. How much can I give you to change your mind? Sorry, ma'am, but not everyone has a price. I've got my policies, and I stick to them. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. You're talking about murder, so, like, some people have a line. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out? What? What are you saying? What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's cursed stone after they've filled it with soul dregs? Okay, that's fair enough. If that was all you were after, then I could lend you my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen cursed stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a cursed stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. Which I guess would be the extent of what happened with Shogo. Maybe Haru was just trying to kind of stall out for Richter to show up and then eventually decided to just go for the kill anyways. About my curse. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The Haunting Clappers, was it? That's one of the 7 Mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here, I think. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curse makes their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person, is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. Seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. Do you really think it's that good? The target can't do much to throw it off, and it has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters too. Just slip one into your target's pocket and say, why are you talking about this like this, Richter? You don't want her to use it at all. And say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know what hit them. Maybe I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said. Yeah. Threats could work, although without any proof, it'd come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse and back out at the last second. At the last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now. That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. It is a crazy proposition, Haru. Oh, I see. You're an odd one, ma'am. If you don't mind me saying, I don't think it's just the curse. You flatterer. As for what we do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous like combustion. or outside of your normal routine. At last, we've got a lead. I'm sorry, I went on a non sequitur about, like, magic stuff. At last, we've got a lead. Hopefully, it'll be a breakthrough we're looking for. Right then, have you decided what you want me to be working on? I would say investigate the kidnapping. Is this gonna be a, split path kind of thing? I almost hope not, because we have to go through a lot of dialogue just to get to this point. But hopefully this is just, like, two options that lead to different things, kind of like how we could go to different locations with Shogo. Investigate the kidnapping is what I want more information on. Finally I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son. Your wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my efforts on looking into the kidnapping. Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises, could you search for the other curse bearers? So basically, I chose the wrong option. Heh, alright, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up and I can start asking questions, I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try and find Miss Shirashi as part of the bargain. Thank you. That's more than enough. Now then. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. Alright. There's no telling what kinds of curses you might find out on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, if that's all, I should be going. A nice thought. I was kind of curious, just keeping in mind everything. Basically when Richter talked to Shogo, but that's gonna be maybe after this part. We'll continue down this path. I feel like we might get to a situation where we dead end and can't really resolve it until we figure out information from these other paths. It would be my assumption. Like something along the lines of, if we didn't get the idea of Richter working with, Haru, that we would maybe figure that out. Like, I mean, obviously, a big thing that would benefit us is knowing, like, what these characters' powers are and how they work. So if we run into Zaki, excuse me, we might have to do, like, a battle of wits kind of thing, and if we knew what she can do, that might be what we have to work on. And then Kirstone, she instructs her, nothing new there, but she does leave the house. Shikima Mansion reception room. Yeah, what was that was behind the thing? It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. Like a plate? And I've seen it too often to feel anything from it now. The flowers put me at ease just a little. Should I put a record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in the mood for music anyway. Yo, that sticker's back! Can't interact with it now, though. I'm waiting to turn around and see someone peeping on me through the door. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. Things seem so loud, it just goes to show how quiet it is. Should put music on. Newspaper is probably the very important thing, because that was not there before. It's a fax machine, I rarely find use for it. I don't know anyone else who owns one. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. Come to think of it, I never offered him any tea. Not that I ever learned how to make it. Alright, let's look at that newspaper then. What's this, a newspaper? Must have fallen off the chair. Don't read it. It's a newspaper. I only have them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. I would almost imagine society and culture might be the most important ones. Education maybe could bring up something about the... So, I mean, if Richter is investigating the curse bearers, maybe we end up going after the murder investigation leads. Looks like the city's biggest problems right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it'd make my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. What am I thinking about right now? I know it's dangerous to go out, but I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her. For Michio Shiraishi. But first, I need to find more soul dregs. More? You haven't found any yet. Unless... I thought that was something up there for a minute. I'm gonna get so spooked if something's behind that door. I'm gonna just keep reading. Can I read more about society? All sorts of articles about a current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. It's about... I don't even know how to actually read that. 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height, and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Just curious. There's one thing Honjo never wants for its horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my, were we under the impression that that might have been what the, two cops were investigating? A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anyone I knew. I don't read the news anymore, not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Suicide at local high school? Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think, or maybe it was something about exam pressure. What? But... No, this can't be right. Her name... Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School? It can't be. I didn't expect that to be in the society tab. You know, that's a very important thing, but let's, that's also kind of crazy that Richter would have a lead but not immediately find that name. So is he hiding that from us? Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. Not to mention that the, whatever his name was like, this morning, was like, oh no, she's gonna get me and kill me. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center is going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. I feel like this would be the opportunity for something to be spooky behind me. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. Seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series. foreign films and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. What's fusion rock? But now it's all about city pop and idols. I love city pop. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Here the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds, mockingbirds I think it's called. Richter told you about it. Is that what Richter was talking about? He did! Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. Was it 80s when Beanie Babies was a thing, or was that like early 90s? When was Pogs were like 80s, right? It's young people who are leading the way with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Listen, man, I'm feeling that right now. Education. Everyone attends high school now, even... I guess a different time, but it's a weird sentence to read. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. More people in the running than ever. The competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. We're gonna find out that he actually dealt with drugs. I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. Television. I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping, back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Now the comedy boom is over. All the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Oh, it said we were done. At least I was able to back out. I hope there's no one staring at me from behind! I probably have to think. There's not really much else I can imagine doing besides, like, leaving. Michio Shirashi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? Well, that means Mr. Jinochi was terrified of someone who already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I guess, obviously, that he did say curse. Can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I? I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Ah! That must be him. Yo, but what if I get a fax? What if I don't answer? 7 days. This could be the trigger. Hello, Shigima residents. That phone call took a whole hour? Or maybe it just took an hour to read that newspaper.